Hi everybody, we're going to continue reading There's a Boy in the Girl's Bathroom by Sachar. Today we're going to be reading chapters 14 through 17. Homework. After school, Bradley Chalkers was going to Jeff Fishkin's house and they were going to do their homework together. Bradley couldn't believe it. Homework. It was all he thought about as he sat at his desk, last seat, last row, and waited for school to end. Maybe it won't be too bad, he reasoned. After all, Jeff always does his homework. He must like it. The more he thought about it, the more he liked the idea. Homework. Work you do at home. Except he wouldn't do it at his home. He would do it at Jeff's home. That was even better. It would be his first time over at Jeff's house. And after he did his homework, Mrs. Ebel might give him a gold star. Instead of scribbling, he drew little stars, one after another, until the bell rang. But first, they had to beat up those girls. "Come on," he said, hopping out of his seat. "Just a sec," said Jeff. He got a book from his desk. "Oh, do I need one of those?" Bradley asked. He hadn't realized that in order to do his homework, he would need to bring his book home. "That's okay, we can share mine." They walked outside. There was a light drizzle. "They're in Mrs. Sharp's class," said Bradley. "We can wait here until they come out, then sneak up behind them." "Who?" "Those girls. We have to beat them up so they won't say hello to you." "We should probably get started on our homework right away," said Jeff. "It won't take long," Bradley assured him. "You just have to hit them once, and they cry and run away." "But it's raining," said Jeff. It was barely misting. "Good. We could push them in the mud, and then their clothes get dirty. Girls hate it when their clothes get dirty." They stood up about 10 yards away from Mrs. Sharp's door and waited. Several kids came out, but they didn't see Colleen, Lori, or Melinda. "Maybe they've already gone home," Jeff said hopefully. "No, girls always take a long time to leave class," Bradley explained. "First, they have to put their papers neatly in their notebooks. Then they have to mark their places in their books and put all their pencils in their pencil holders. Then they have to put everything away neatly in their desk." He said it as though it was the most disgusting thing anybody could do. "Shh! Here they come!" Melinda, followed by Colleen and Lori, came out of Mrs. Sharp's room. Bradley put his finger to his lips. Then he and Jeff walked after them, keeping their distance. They followed the girls around the side of the building and along the sidewalk away from the school. "Let's just go home," said Jeff. "The homework might take a long time." "Girls kick," warned Bradley. "They don't know how to punch, so they try to kick you." He quickened his pace until he was just a few steps behind the girls. Jeff lagged a little behind. Lori was the first to turn around. "Ew, Bradley Chalkers," she said, making a face. "Lori Loudmouth," snapped Bradley, "the ugliest girl in the school." Melinda and Colleen stopped walking and turned around too. "Grow up, Bradley," said Melinda. "Make me," he replied. "Hello, Jeff," Colleen said very quietly. "Hello," said Jeff. "Quit saying hello to him," said Bradley. "It's a free country," said Lori. "We can say hello." "Not to us," said Bradley. "We didn't say hello to you," said Lori. "Just him. Hello, Jeff." "Hello," said Jeff. Lori laughed. "Why don't you just leave us alone, Bradley?" said Melinda. "No, you leave us alone first," Bradley said, and he pushed Melinda. She pushed him back. He pushed her again. She shoved him off the sidewalk. He slipped on the wet grass and fell to the ground. Lori laughed hysterically. Bradley scrambled angrily to his feet. "You got my clothes dirty!" "Bradley wet his pants," teased Lori, hiding behind Melinda. "Shut up!" he yelled. "You started it," said Melinda. "I'll punch your face in," said Bradley. He shook his fist at her. Melinda raised her fists in the air. He charged toward her, then kicked her in the leg. She slugged him in the face with all her might. Bradley stumbled backward and almost fell again, but caught his balance. He glared at Melinda as his eyes swelled with tears. "No fair! 4 against 1, he shouted, then ran home crying. "My poor baby," said Bradley's mother as she wrapped her massive arms around him. He had stopped crying shortly after he ran away from Melinda, but started again when he saw his mother. "They beat me up and threw me in the mud," he sobbed. His mother wiped his face with a tissue she kept rolled up in her shirt sleeve. "Come on," she said, and led him by the hand down the hall to the bathroom. "You'll take a nice warm bath, put on clean clothes, and feel good as new." Claudia was in the bathroom combing her hair. "What happened to him?" "Some bullies picked on him after school." There were 4 of them, said Bradley, and they ripped up my homework, too. You've been crying, Claudia accused. That's the rain, said Bradley. Claudia started to say something, but her mother told her to leave the bathroom. She laid out clean clothes on the bathroom counter, then started the water. After his bath, Bradley went into his bedroom. He was just in the nick of time. Ronnie the rabbit was romping across the bed, singing doo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo, when suddenly she was lost. Where am I? She asked. Suddenly, 3 bad guys were chasing her. They were the 2 of spades, the 9 of hearts, and the king of diamonds. The king of diamonds was the leader of the bad guys. After her, he yelled. Help, called Ronnie. She ran to the edge of the bed, the cliff. She was trapped. The floor was 1,000 feet below. The bad guys moved in for the kill. Let me go, she shouted, then fell off the bed onto the floor. But that was an accident. Bradley picked her up and put her back on the edge of the bed. It never happened. There was a timeout. What are you going to do to me? Asked Ronnie, trembling on the edge of the cliff. We're going to kill you, said the king of diamonds. Oh, no, you're not, said a voice from behind. It was Bartholomew. Get 'em, boys, ordered the king of diamonds. The cards attacked. Bartholomew punched the 2 of spades in the stomach, then flipped him over his head and over the cliff. Ah! The 2 of spades yelled as he fell 1,000 feet to his death. Next, Bartholomew beat up the 9 of hearts. Go join your friend, he said as he threw him over the cliff too. Ah! Cried the 9. Now, only the king of diamonds was left. He came at Bartholomew swinging an axe. I'll chop off your head, he sneered. Bartholomew ducked, then kicked the axe out of the king's hand and punched his face in. He threw the king over the cliff, too. Ronnie ran to Bartholomew. You saved my life, she said. I know, said Bartholomew. They kissed. Claudia walked into the room. Mom's making cookies because you got beat up, she said. Ooh, you're going to have a black eye. I didn't get beat up, Bradley declared. I beat them up. I gave one kid 2 black eyes and another boy 3. You can't give somebody 3 black eyes, said Claudia. Shut up, said Bradley, or I'll give you 4 black eyes. Claudia shrugged and left his room. Bradley got up from his bed and went into the kitchen where his mother was making chocolate chip cookies. She let him lick the spoon. I want to know the names of the boys who did this to you, she said. I'm going to call your school principal. Bradley thought for a moment. I don't know all their names, he said. Don't be afraid to tell me, said his mother. They won't hurt you anymore. Bradley thought a moment. Jeff Fishkin, he declared. He was the leader of the gang. I'll call the school first thing in the morning, said his mother. Good, said Bradley. Hope he gets in trouble. I hate him. Chapter 16. Bradley walked slowly, holding his hand over his eyes so nobody would see it. His mother would have let him stay home from school, but his father said he had to go. He's scared, his mother had said. Some bullies have been terrorizing him. Babying him will not solve the problem, said his father. He has to learn to stand up for himself and fight back. The only reasons the bullies pick on him is because they know he's afraid. Bradley was afraid, but not of bullies. He wasn't scared of Melinda either. It was little Lori Weston who scared him. He could picture her standing in the middle of the playground with her big mouth, shouting for the whole school to hear, Melinda Birch beat up Bradley Chalkers and made him cry. Cautiously, he walked across the schoolyard, hand over eye, and entered Mrs. Ebel's class. He sat down in the last seat of the last row. Jeff's chair was empty. Good, he thought, still covering his eye. Probably got kicked out of school. Out of his uncovered eye, he looked at the chart full of gold stars on the wall next to him. He was glad he didn't have any. He thought gold stars were ugly. Mrs. Ebel was in the middle of teaching the difference between adjectives and adverbs when she suddenly stopped and asked, Bradley, is there something the matter with your eye? No. Then please take your hand away from it. I can't, he said. Why can't you? He quickly tried to think of a reason why he had to keep his eye covered. His mind raced through 100 ideas. My hand's stuck, he said. It's stuck, asked Mrs. Ebel. I was gluing something, I got glue in my hand, and then I accidentally touched my face with my hand, and it got stuck. Bradley, take your hand away from your eye. He grabbed his wrist with his free hand, pretended to try to pull it away. I can't, it's stuck. Do you want to go to the principal's office, she asked. He's good at unsticking things. Wait, I think it's starting to loosen now, he said. He pried his hand away. There was a bluish black circle around his eye. For a few seconds, nobody said anything. Then everybody started talking at once. What happened, said Mrs. Ebel, but then quickly said, never mind, I don't want to know. She told the class to turn around and started again on adverbs and adjectives. Jeff walked in late. He said something to Mrs. Ebel, then sat down next to Bradley. Bradley looked the other way at the chart full of gold stars. Of all the stars, Jeff's were the ugliest. For once he wished he sat in the front of the room, then only Mrs. Ebel would have been able to see his face. Where he was, everyone could turn around and stare at him. All morning, Mrs. Ebel had to keep telling kids to turn around and face front. When the bell rang for recess, he put his hand over his eye and hurried outside. He went to the far end of the playground where nobody would bother him. But the word quickly spread that Bradley Chalkers had a black eye, and kids kept wandering past him trying to get a peek. Melinda fights dirty, said Jeff, coming up behind him. She hit you when you weren't looking. You couldn't hit her back because it's impolite to hit a girl. Right, said Bradley, turning around. I would have punched her face in, except it's impolite. Melinda probably told the whole school that she beat me up. She's so stupid. No, I don't think she told anybody. After you left, she asked me not to tell anyone what happened. She made Lori and Colleen promise not to tell too. She's probably afraid I'll punch her face in, said Bradley. Probably, said Jeff. Then this morning I got called into the principal's office. He thought I was the one who hit you. What'd you tell him? Bradley asked. Jeff shrugged. I told him you're my best friend. The principal's stupid, Bradley agreed. Chapter 17. Jeff and Bradley ate lunch together around the side of the building where nobody would bother them. Jeff stood up. I'll be right back, he said. I have to go to the bathroom. Which one? Bradley asked. Boys, said Jeff. Oh, said Bradley. I'll wait for you here. It was a very long wait. Hey, Jeff, Robbie called as Jeff stepped out of the bathroom. Me? Asked Jeff. It surprised him because Robbie had always called him Fish Nose or Fish Brain. Come over here, said Robbie. A group of boys was with him. Jeff recognized some from his class, but he didn't know them all. One of the boys had a basketball. Hi, Jeff, said Brian, a boy from his class. Hi, Brian, he replied. How's it going, Jeff? Asked Russell. Okay. This is Jeff Fishkin, Robbie told the boys who weren't in his class. He's the guy who gave Chalkers the black eye. Way to go, Jeff, said one of the boys he didn't know. All right, Jeff, said another. Oh, man, would I have liked to have seen that. Man, when I saw Chalkers' eye today, said Robbie, I just smiled. And when I found out you got called to the principal's office, I thought, way to go, Jeff. You didn't get in trouble, did you, Jeff? Asked Dan. Jeff shook his head. They probably gave him a medal, said Russell, laughing. The others laughed, too. You like to play basketball, Jeff? Asked Andy, the boy with the basketball. Sure, said Jeff. They chose team. Robbie and Andy were captains. Robbie had first pick. I got Jeff, he said. Jeff beamed. They played basketball for the remainder of the lunch period. Jeff's team won, but it was also the team with 5 players. The other team had only 4. Everyone told him he played a great game. I always wondered why a guy like you was hanging out with Chalkers, said Robbie. I guess it just took you a while to realize who your real friends were. Jeff smiled. These were the kind of friends he had back at his old school in Washington, D.C. Of course, it meant he couldn't be friends with Bradley anymore, but he shrugged.